Hey y'all, Josh here with the Family Dream Life, and not long ago I did a video on why I use hay as a mulch in my gardens, and I'm going to show you a couple things in a minute. But I got a little backlash on that video. Some people said, hey, don't do that, and let me tell you why they said that. Number one person said that I was inviting weeds into my garden, and another person said that all hay would do for my garden is put mold in it. And I have to say, my experience has not been either one of those. Let me show you what I'm talking about. I used hay on two of my gardens, well, three. I'll show you the other one in a minute, or the other two. But this is one of them. And as you can see, there's literally no weed pressure in this garden. Now, I gotta be honest with you. I have been weeding that garden. I have a rule in my gardens, and it's that if you see a weed, you pick a weed. And that way, I'm not in these gardens for 3 hours on a Saturday trying to get all the weeds out and protect my plants. Because when I see a weed, I pick a weed. Now, has there been more weed pressure? No, nowhere near. I have some gardens that I didn't mulch at all. And I have another garden that I mulched in hay, but I didn't pick the weeds. And I did that on purpose. I wanted to see if this weed pressure idea was true. I wanted to see if having mulch in my garden from hay would lead to more weeds. And I have to say, I was pleasantly surprised. So this is my strawberry garden, and it's a little heat stressed right now. It's been a very hot day, and they haven't gotten their water for the day. That'll happen in about 20 minutes, actually, when the other sprinkler's done. But if you look down in this garden, you have to look pretty close. But every once in a while, you're gonna see some weeds. Now, I have to say, this is driving me crazy. You know, if you see a weed, you pick a weed rule. Well, I haven't been doing it there, and having weeds in my garden drives me nuts. There's no reason for it. They're sapping energy and nutrients and water from my plants, but I'm gonna get rid of those weeds as soon as I'm done with this video. This was an experiment, and it proved well. But anyway, when you look in that garden, you see there's not many weeds. There are some, and I'll be getting rid of those, but there's not many. Now let me show you what happens in a no mulch garden. I decided not to put any mulch down in this garden. And this one, you can see there's tomato plants. There's a little bit of cilantro. We have some peppers over there. But in between everything is a pile, and I mean a pile of weeds. It's gonna take me some time to get these weeds out. And when I get these weeds out, it's gonna cause some stress in the plants, because I guarantee that these weeds have roots that have wrapped around the plant roots. So, has using hay as mulch increased my weed pressure? Not at all. If anything, it's reduced it by quite a bit. So, if you haven't used hay because you thought you're going to get weeds from it, go ahead and start using it. It works really well. Now, the other part is the mold. Has there been mold in my gardens? Strawberries are very highly susceptible to mold and fungus and things of that nature. And I haven't seen any signs of mold or fungus in this garden that is mulched with hay. So, does that mean mulching with hay won't put mold or fungus into your gardens? No, not necessarily. It means it hasn't done so in this garden or in my melon garden. But there are a couple factors at play there. Is this the best environment for mold? I'm not sure. It gets pretty hot here, and these are sunny locations. So I think the environment plays a big role there. Had these gardens been highly shaded gardens and then I mulched with hay, I may have gotten some mold pressure. So think about that before you do it. But altogether, I haven't had extra weed pressure. I haven't had mold issues. I haven't had fungus issues. All I've had is the enjoyment of a great mulch. So what makes hay a great mulch? I'll go over that with you real quick. Hay is a natural material. It was alive at one point, which means it's going to break down over time. And as it does, it's going to feed my plants. So it's free fertilizer. On top of that, hay is super absorbent, so it absorbs a lot of the water that I put down on these plants, and it gives it back to them later when conditions are pretty dry. So that's a great thing too. On top of that, this hay, it's protecting my plants' roots from this hot summer sun. And let me tell you, I'm in Central Florida, or North Florida, sorry, and it gets crazy hot here. I mean, today it was in the 90s, and pretty soon it's gonna be even hotter. So having mulch down keeps those roots cool in the summertime. It keeps them warm in the wintertime. It's just an all-around good idea. But if you're gonna mulch and you want to do it with hay, I wouldn't worry about weed and mold pressures. I don't think those are big issues. My experience has been they're not. So that said, happy growing, my friends. I'll see you next time.